So a couple of days ago, they decided to break Star Wars internet with all these beautiful images from the Ahsoka show, and one of them, from this Inquisitor more specifically, got me so interested and deep diving into details that I actually deduced who it's not. One clear-cut suspect can definitely be eliminated, and that's what I want to hone into. I want to actually discuss three possibilities for this damned Inquisitor that we still don't know who it is, although I have my suspicions and we're going to discuss that today. There are three possibilities, my guys. The first one, it's very lame and extremely time wasting if they actually end up doing it. I hope this is not the case. That's why the first one, we're going to get it out of the way immediately. There's a second possibility which we would all love so much. I cannot wait to see if it's actually true. We're going to discuss that later. And the third possibility is, well, the exclusion. The one guy that definitely is not this Inquisitor. So discussing all these three possibilities in order, we're going to start, as I said, with the first and lamest one, and that is that a lot of people are speculating it's just a test dummy for Ahsoka, essentially. This Inquisitor is an Inquisitor that got essentially lost into the shuffle, and we practically never saw him in any of the animated shows and any of the live-action shows, in the games, and etc. So he was serving the Empire throughout all these years, and after Return of the Jedi, somehow he returned from somewhere and he ended up fighting Ahsoka. So the first speculation is that this dude is just gonna be cannon fodder for Ahsoka to show how powerful she is. She is gonna defeat him without really breaking a sweat in the first episodes to show that Ahsoka is still powerful and mighty. Kind of the same thing that happened with the Inquisitor in the recent Jedi Tales animated show. So far, there's been a lot of speculation online, even some spoilers from the Celebration trailer that was not shown online, people saying that, spoilers, this is actually a female character. With those who watched this Ahsoka Celebration trailer, knowing that this is actually a female Inquisitor that was somehow lost to time, I don't know what happened, now years later, she is fighting against Ahsoka. We also have this screenshot from the Inquisitor on her ship, as well as, of course, her lightsaber, which is clearly an Inquisitor lightsaber. We have been saying this for years, but knowing that Dave Filoni is helming this project, and knowing that we still don't have any closure on the character of Barriss Offee, is it really crazy to ask this question again for the umpteenth time? Is this Inquisitor actually Barriss Offee? Are we gonna get the Ahsoka series on August and finally get that answer? That answer of what happened to Barriss Offee after Order 66, after she was arrested, and we don't ever get to hear from her again. We gotta talk about one of the greatest, most mysterious characters actually that has just stood the test of time, I guess. Constantly I hear from the fans, I hear articles, I see articles, I read them, I see constantly that there is this mystique following the now disappeared character of Barriss Offee. It's not like she's completely Legends. She is fully canon, but her story extends a lot into Legends material. In some cases, it's even debated her material, is it even Legends, or more particularly C canon, when it was Legends back in the day when before Disney actually bought it. The beautiful thing about nobody talking about her, especially Dave Filoni, and nobody knowing anything about in regards to canon, well, we can speculate, and of course, the biggest rumor out right now is that Barriss Offee will finally make her comeback in the Ahsoka show. And I'm gonna try to convince you guys that why it makes sense that Dave Filoni saved her for the Ahsoka show is actually right in front of our eyes, because that's kind of the main reason why nobody has touched her subject during all this time, during all these series. She has never appeared until the Ahsoka show. It only makes sense because Ahsoka and Barriss Offee are very, very close in the Clone Wars animated show, ran by, guess who? Dave Filoni, aside George Lucas. So as I said, from the scene that she was arrested in the Clone Wars show, we haven't gotten any single information about her from that time, and that's been a long time now that we don't know what actually happened to her pre and post Order 66. Originally, she was planned to be killed in a violent violent and tragic note during Order 66 that was inspired by a deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith. From what we know about her in Star Wars canon, Barriss Offee is seen as a Jedi Padawan and a close friend to Ahsoka Tano after they met during the second battle of Geonosis. Of course, as the series goes on, we realize that something is off with Barriss Offee. Their friendship ends in a horrific note when Barriss Offee actually sets up Ahsoka to take the fall for the Jedi Temple bombing. In my mind, I still recollect it as being one of the greatest arcs in the Clone Wars series in general. The Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order arc is one of the best Star Wars materials out there, and it really shows the flaws of the Jedi Order and the Jedi Temple, the way it had corroded, especially before Order 66. This was kind of the final nail to their coffin. Set aside Ahsoka, I love the scene also where Anakin actually intervenes and duels Barriss Offee until she gets finally arrested and convicted for her criminal acts. We see Jedi Temple guards leading her to imprisonment, and that's that. Never again heard of or seen in Star Wars canon. Sadly, even in Legends, Barriss Offee has that tumultuous timeline where you don't know what's actually what, similar to Shakti. Because we know that Shakti has multiple death scenes, it has been a big issue for the fans to know which one is actually the canon one. But one of the more conclusive versions for Barriss Offee in Legends is the Revenge of the Sith comic adaptation. Here is where I am convinced why Dave Filoni will insert Barriss Offee into the Ahsoka show. Presumably, they came up together in the Jedi Order as Padawans. They were the same age, so naturally, Barriss Offee would be the same age as Ahsoka too. In the Revenge of the Sith comic book adaptation, Offee is seen fighting bravely on the fields of Felucia around the time when Order 66 was actually issued by now Emperor Palpatine. Once the clone troopers got wind of this, unbeknownst to her, they had already surrounded her while she was battling Federation droids, and an ATTE walker lets out a barrage of blaster fire towards Barriss Offee, actually disintegrating her. The artists even made note to show her getting pulverized in the explosion. Similar to Luminara Unduli, this kind of a scene was supposed to be shown in the Order 66 montage, but after they scrapped it, it made its appearance in the comic book version of Revenge of the Sith. If you want to read this up, it is Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, issue number 3. Comic book adaptation. As you have guessed it though, this was pre-Clone Wars animated show. And this is why I think Dave Filoni was saving Barriss Offee up until this time. In fact, Barriss Offee never even fell to the dark side at the time when this comic book was issued where Barriss Offee dies. She was just a side character. Dave Filoni decided to give her more of a developing character in the animated show, and in the end he chose a more tragic version of what she had become. Here comes the Dave Filoni aspect. You see, in multiple interviews, Dave Filoni has said that even before the Clone Wars animated show was premiering, he wanted to make clear to the fans and everybody else that he intentionally wanted to tell his own version of the war, meaning the Clone Wars. And after Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, he then made it more clear about the storylines in the Clone Wars series that he would make it fit only in the current canon, meaning the Disney canon. This means Barriss Offee's story can be finished in a future property, and guess what future property we're awaiting? It is the Ahsoka TV series headed by Dave Filoni himself. I think in his mind, it has always been this way. This is why we constantly are asking for Barriss Offee conclusion or an explanation or a mention, just for us to know what actually happened to her, because we have no idea. Was she killed during Order 66, or did she even possibly escape during that time? She has not seemed to be an Inquisitor of any sort, so this gives way to Barriss Offee's story being pretty much in the gray zone. If she is not an Inquisitor, then she might have regretted her dark side ways, but if she is not seen as a surviving Jedi, then again she might be following down Ahsoka's this path. It was Dave Filoni who supervised both these characters during the Clone Wars show, and it'll be only fitting if he supervises them again in the new Ahsoka TV series. Last but not least, I cannot believe it's not him, because for a moment there, I kind of believed it too. I thought that it could be the 8th brother. Unfortunately, with this image, it's kind of confirmed now that it is definitely not the 8th brother. The sole reason being the number of fingers that this Inquisitor has. You see, the 8th brother is of a different species. He is not human. He has 4 fingers. In Star Wars Rebels, you can clearly see this. However, this image shows an Inquisitor who kind of looks like him. Unfortunately, he has 5 fingers, meaning that it could not be him simply because this one has 4 and this other one has 5 in the Ahsoka show. Although we've seen some retcons here and there, especially from Dave Filoni, so who knows? Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.